If you like this video, why not subscribe?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the weekly recap Q&A show. That's the show that I share links with you from Facebook that accumulated on Facebook down below in the description. So if you're interested in some cool links, check those out. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about some questions I received. If you want to send me a question for the show, you can do it through thefrugalfilmmaker@gmail.com. And also, I'm just going to talk a little bit about things that are going on with the channel and that have happened and that are happening. So if you need to tab away and look at something else on the internet, you can just listen if you'd like. Last week we had the making of Conversation Hearts. That's the video that I posted. It was a behind-the-scenes look at the short film that I had made the week before, Conversation Hearts. Everyone seems to really like the making of episodes. One person even said, you know, I usually like these more than the movie itself, which I think is true with movies in general. It's really educational, I think, when you find out how a movie was made and discover techniques and tricks and bloopers and anecdotes and all that stuff, which is really good. So thank you for watching that and for your support. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad you like those episodes because they are fun to make. And essentially, when I make a short film, I get 2 shows for the price of 1. Last night was the Academy Awards, which I watch every year because even though I don't have any realistic beliefs that I'm ever going to make it to the Academy Awards to win something like Best Director, which I think is everybody's goal, no matter, I mean, in the back of your mind, no matter who you are or how small your movies are, that's always the dream, to win, you know, an Oscar. But it's always inspirational. I like seeing, you know, filmmakers I enjoy, and the speeches are kind of inconsequential, but it's always interesting, inspirational. I watch them every year. It's kind of tradition at my house. And there was a really funny song this year, which I'm not going to repeat the title of, but if you watch the broadcast, you know what I'm talking about. It was, even though I don't know if I was, how impressed I was with Seth MacFarlane as a host, that song was hysterical. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into the questions. This week we have a comment posted by Matthew132, made a comment on the making of Conversation Hearts, and he says, "Where did you end up spending the $40? Was it all spent on food for cast and crew?" And Matthew's referring to, in the video, I said that the budget for the movie was $40. That's what I spent. The budget was actually, well, you're actually correct, Matthew. All of that was spent on food. 30 of it was the budget for craft service, which I gave to my wife. I said, can you do all the food for 6 people, or was it 5 people? 6 people. So we had a crew of 4, that includes me, and then the cast. So 6 people, can you feed them all for $30? And she said yes. And she did it. I was proud of her. Very frugal. And so the other 10 was actually spent on the props, which is the candy hearts. I ended up spending about 6 on the candy hearts, and I would have only spent 3 because I bought them once for the shoot, or for actually for figuring out what all the dialogue was going to be, and then I used them on the shoot. And then later I decided after the shoot to put the candy hearts in the credits, but I had since thrown them away since the shoot, so I went back and got the exact same bag. So that cost double. So that wasn't very frugal. I should have held on to them, but I wasn't thinking, and I ended up chucking them, so I had to buy them again. But it was worth the $3, I think, because I liked the effect that it created in the credits. So that's where all the money went. Everybody was volunteers. We're volunteers, and I appreciate their hard work. I think they did a good job. So there you go, Matthew. Doug Waugh writes me and says, through email, he says, I was wondering if you could recommend any inexpensive lens filters that might help to make my camcorder footage less like, well, camcorder footage, and more like actual film. Well, Doug, you're not going to find a filter in and of itself that's going to do that. However, I do have a few suggestions if you would like to get more of a film look. And actually, this is part of the question this week is, what do you guys do to give your movies that film look? I tend to increase contrast in the footage. That's one of the cheapest things you can do. Usually any editor worth anything will have at least that, the ability to adjust contrast. Another thing you can do is light more cinematically, use cinematic lighting. For example, instead of just turning all the lights on in the house, use things that can shape your light. Use, 3-point lighting, use reflectors. Be aware of how the light is hitting your actors. Use the the John Alton test light. I'll give you a link to that below, where you can actually see where the light is hitting your actor's face and then light them accordingly. because movies are lit more dramatically, more interestingly, more appealing or flattering to the face, opposed to something like the news, where like all the lights are turned on. That's in a studio, but all the lights are turned on. Everything's really flat looking because there's no dramatic context or anything like that. So that's another thing I would do to get yourself that film look. If you're looking for shallow depth of field, you're going to need an interchangeable lens camera, and they're getting really cheap. I mean, I paid $478 for mine that included a lens, but mine, I had to have an articulating screen so I could see the LCD from many different angles instead of it being fixed. But if you don't mind having a fixed screen, you can get something like the Panasonic GH3, which I think is around $300 now, something like that. Then you can have the ability to change lenses. You can also check Sony's site, or any camera site. Any camera manufacturer usually has a refurbished section. So if there's a specific camera that you want, you can go to those sections and check them out. Sony, I know, has one, but I of course didn't get my camera through there because I wasn't thinking. I ended up spending more money on a new one. But anyway, the ability to change lenses gives you different focal lengths and will allow better, if you want shallow depth of field, that's the way to get it, because most cheaper camcorders have the smaller chipped cameras always have deep focus. Everything's in focus, which isn't bad, but if you want, if you're striving for that film look, then you're going to want the ability to have different, have shallow depth of field also. So, which you may have noticed in Conversation Hearts, I had shallow depth of field in several shots, or in previous movies I shot with my camcorder, my HFS 100, there wasn't any. Or if you look at a lot of the shows that I do, a lot of the instructional videos, I still use my camcorder and everything's in focus all the time. A few exceptions, but anyway. And that's the question I'm posing for everybody, this episode. What do you do for the film look when you're going for it? Those are just a few of my suggestions. Okay, Philippians 4:8 Productions says, "Hey Steve." It's Scott, not Steve. That's okay though. Common mistake. For some reason, people get Scott and Steve confused. I'm not sure. Okay. Anyway, Steve, I'm looking for a good camera. What sub $1,000 camera would you recommend me getting? This is an interesting question because usually I don't get this kind of question. I mean, I've had what kind of camera should I get, but usually it's like, because this is the frugal filmmaker, everybody asks what is the the best entry-level camera I can get, under $100 or between $200 and $300, and I have answers for those. This is a little more challenging, especially since $1,000 is kind of an odd number in the camera world, because it seems like a lot of cameras go up to $800, and then after that they jump to $1,300. So if you wanted to keep it under $1,000 and spend around the $800 mark, you've got the Canon 60D if you like Canons. The T4i, I believe, is a little less than that. If you wanted to jump to $1,300 and spend a little more, I'd recommend getting the Panasonic GH3, which is a lot like the now discontinued and absent GH2, only you don't have to get the higher bit rate by using a hack because it lets you go to the higher bit rate. But that's supposed to be a pretty good camera. So anyway, also the Sony NEX line, which I like. I've got the 5N, but that was a $500 camera. But if you spend more money, you can get the NEX-6, which is around, I think, between $700 and $800. I'll leave some links below to all these cameras on Amazon. So the Sony NEX-6, which has some things my camera doesn't, like a viewfinder, a hot shoe on top, and things like that. So it's the same sensor, but the body's a little more robust and it has some more bells and whistles on it. So those are the cameras I'm going to recommend. But again, the camera I've heard the best things about around this price range is the GH3. So if you can spring for the extra $300, if not, 60D, NEX-6, if you can find them, GH2 possibly. All right, so that's all we have for this week. If you want to reach me to ask me a question for this show, thefrugalfilmmaker@gmail.com is the best place to do that. You can leave a question in a comment, but those are usually, since I go over my emails first when I'm finding questions, and if I don't have time, I'll often skip looking through comments for questions for this show, although I do my best to answer comments as they come in, answer questions as they come in. So I'll try and answer you on the web, but sometimes you might even make this show. I might answer you on the show as well. I feel like they'd be beneficial for everybody. Don't forget to look for all the stuff that I'm doing on the blog, Twitter, Facebook. All those links are down below, so you can check those things out. And also check out all the links below that accumulated on Facebook. You might find them interesting. So, until next time, I'm gone.